So it's all for play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hi, villains, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. Absolutely delighted we finally got there, Paddy. I think this is like the third day in a row we've attempted to do an AZ preview / West Ham review with yourself. So we finally got there, everybody. You can lay off the carrier pigeons and the DMs when we're going to be doing this, because we finally got there. But in the interim, I'm sure you guys might have seen it last night, and if you haven't seen it, the wonderful Michael Statham from Footballer Anya's podcast joined. Well, I joined his podcast, and he was supposed to be popping on last night, but when we had to pull the plug on it, he was very, very kind enough to give us, I think it was 6 or 7 minutes of an overview of AZ and some of the players, and we will be referencing that again here tonight as well, along with our own thoughts and our own feelings on it. So thank you very much to Michael. And Michael is a Villa fan, and I've been talking to him since, and he's really looking forward to this, because he's on his way over to Alkmaar for this game, because his two loves are colliding in this competition tomorrow. So really novel interview together, really novel chat to have with Michael. So if you haven't seen it already, you can go and check it out. Last night, I think it's only about an 8 or 9 minute video, so it's not going to keep you up all night. But Paddy, good to have you back. Last time we saw you, you were happy, let's just say, coming out of the West Ham game.
Yeah, I think I need to pull the plug on trying to get on after matches, because I just saw myself in a different light, full of the joys of what I just experienced, and it was a bit weird looking back at myself and how wired I was coming out of Villa Park on Sunday, and look, it's beyond belief that we're actually in this position, and I think there's still a bit of disbelief amongst our fans, because we're 4-1 up, it's still very quiet. Everyone is looking at each other going, what the hell is going on here? We don't know how to react to this. And it was just the strangest atmosphere. Now, don't get me wrong, every time a goal went in, there was limbs everywhere. It was unbelievable. Absolute carnage in the whole thing. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Everyone around us just hugging, and it's like a disbelief hug. That's the way it is. But I think it's going to be something we're going to have to get used to, because we're bloody good, and that's the mad thing now.
We seem to be, Paddy. We seem to be good. And look, long may it continue. And I did a piece last night as well. Well, I released a piece last night on Unai Emery's first year. And look, I'll be honest with you, I felt had to mark the occasion slightly, but I knew that a lot of other podcasts were going to go into a lot more detail. And plus, there's no fun talking on your own for an hour. About something like that. So I took the scenic route to showing my love for Unai Emery, and just basically waxed lyrically about him for about 7 or 8 minutes, and then just read out all the results in the league, Paddy, because the results speak for themselves. If you can't look down through that to the results and understand what Unai Emery has brought to this club from both I suppose a progression point of view on in the league table, but also in the harmony within the squad and within the tactical progression that we have as well, then maybe football isn't the game for you. If people can't figure that out, well, then maybe football isn't the game for you. That's just my way of thinking about it. But there are some people out there who still question it. And look, as I say, will this go on forever? We don't know, but we're enjoying the ride while it's happening, and we hope that it happens for a long time into the future as well. Because, as you said, Paddy, the disbelief is absolutely fantastic, really great. And look, as I say, no one's getting too carried away, but everybody's enjoying every second of it.
And what's happened now in the few days since is we have largely gone below the radar all season. And because we're on at 4:30 on a Sunday with no competition, no 2:00 game, it was the only game that everyone in the world that enjoys the Premier League had to dial into. and they get that. And it was
Yeah.
incredible performance. And the amount of people that have suddenly said, hang on a minute, you guys are actually good. Like, where's this come from? And, you know, and we fucking idiots in the media linking Unai with leaving Aston Villa because we're not big enough for him. All this shit talk has suddenly began this week. And you know what? Even one so-called Villa fan saying it on our Irish broadcaster. Oh dear, not good, not good. So that annoyed me this week. So we're no longer under the radar. Everybody thinks we're good, and now we just have to keep performing. And
I actually think, Paddy, everyone thinks we're good, but the next time, I can guarantee you, the next time Villa lose to maybe, I was going to say 2-0, but we don't do games to nil. Next time we lose 3-1 or something like that, I can guarantee you there will be a ton of people that will emerge from the woodwork within the greater media again, who are now kind of going, oh, Villa aren't bad, are they? They'll emerge from the woodwork going, see, told you, the bubble is burst now. And it's up to this team to continually come back from it. Because when I was reading down through the results last night, you know, we do tend to lose in bunches, but we win in bigger bunches. And that's fantastic. That shows great character. It shows great ability to be able to turn things around, to be able to change things, to be able to hone a tactical tweak here and there, and not get too panicked over situations as well, which is grown up football. It's just grown up football, and that's probably the best way to describe it. And we saw that at West Ham as well. We saw that in the game against West Ham. After that goal, there needed to be a small bit of a tweak because they had their purple patch, and most teams have their purple patch against us. But we tweak it, and we're getting better as the game goes on now.
Well, we're a year on from the person we criticised for having no in-game management, and that was perfect game management after conceding at the weekend. We were just excellent. We dealt with it excellently. But the bizarre thing about this is we're now going into 3 very winnable games. So where are we going to be at the end of them? I don't mean the European games. I mean the 3 league games that are coming up. So we could be in a really good position by the next international break. So we just need to keep our heads down, stay focused, and keep grinding out those wins because, you know, I envisage Luton, Forest, and then Fulham are definitely 3 fixtures that we should be targeting 9 points from the way we're playing. I know people will go, oh, I take 7, I take 6. No, what 9? We have to be greedy now. We as a fan base, we have to be greedy. And look, I think we'll have to. I think we'll have to raise our expectations because my dad, as you know, is a Man City fan, and I came home on Sunday and he goes, "God, you were awesome today," and he's going 2 points off the top now and blah blah blah, and I was going, I didn't even look at that. I didn't even look at the fact we're 2 points off the top. All I want to be, and I've said it so many times, when we get to Christmas, I want to be still in Europe and I want to be still around that top 5 to give us a chance of getting in. If we don't make it, we don't make it. We just need to give ourselves every opportunity. And if that means getting to January and getting those players in, there's a huge, huge opportunity growing here. And I believe the owners will get behind them. And whatever he wants to do, the checkbook will be open in January because we're so close. This is so close, you can almost feel it. And there's such a buzz around the place. Spoiler alert, I spent before the game in the lower grounds. Ooh. It was I didn't pay for it, I might add. I was there for a meeting, and it was kind of left us to, you could go and have a few drinks and a bit of grub and whatever. Really nice place to go before the match. I know people are still hurting from losing it. I totally get that. But this is the progress that's happening, and I assure you, the people in there are all Villa fans. There's men, women, kids, all in Villa shorts, just enjoying a special experience, and it is quite a special experience. You got ex-players. You've got, obviously, you can fill your boots at the bar. You can. There's plenty of grub on offer. Not that I was too interested in the grub. I think I had a burger and a few chips along with my few points. But I do feel sorry for everybody that's lost that opportunity. But what I will say to you is that there's cracking pubs around the ground. And I was in a pub beforehand and I was talking to the manager there. And the manager said, we're suffering a little bit because of Sunday kickoffs and people don't have the money, and they're coming later than usual. So if you can get out there and support those guys and make sure we still have all these amazing pubs around Villa Park, and if you choose to vote with your feet and drink in those, by all means do. It's you look at what people have to offer. There's a huge job done in the Witten. You got the Sacred Heart, you got the Aston Inn, you got the Aston Tavern, you've got Barton Arms, you've got Shanahan's. There's so many pubs around there that you just choose one and look after them, because they really are. They're smashing pubs that we're blessed with. And you go to somewhere like the Etihad and you can't get a pint anywhere around it. You're locked into drinking it out of a plastic glass, where you in a outdoor venue that you can barely move in. So embrace these guys and find a new home for yourself. But I think the lower ground is there to stay, and all I can say is, I saw people getting abused for going in. I thought that was pretty unfair. Like, some people, I met a couple in there with their 2 kids that had just moved back from Dubai, hadn't been at Villa Park in 15 years, and they were getting abused for going in because that was the only ticket they could purchase, which I thought was a little bit unfair. But I met a few people in there that listened to the podcast. Again, everybody seemed to have the same story. It was either it was a great place to bring the kids, and obviously they're in a lucky enough position that they can afford to use the lower ground, or the other option is that they had elderly people with them, that it was just easier to go in there than have them trek around from wherever their hostelry they pick is. So it was very little corporate. I didn't see anybody in suits other than Alan Wright, Tommy Johnson, and Tony Daly, who were on the stage with the compere, who was wearing a suit. So it wasn't corporate as such. So it was a nice experience to be in there. It was a good buzz in there, and I filled my boots while I was in there and had a few Amstels, and I enjoyed them.
In solidarity, Amstel, nice Dutch beer, Paddy, as well, which is you were doing. I'm going to take it that you're doing scouting on AZ through the bottom of your pint glass. That's probably the best way to put it. But yeah, look, do you know what, you said something really good there about the watering holes around Villa Park, and making the comparison to probably newer grounds that are built maybe on the outskirts of a city that, yes, they might be easier to get to, but they don't have any of that colloquial, the old school kind of tradition around. Not tradition. I don't want to use the word tradition, because we know they don't have the tradition, but they don't have that kind of how will I put it? It's kind of the harkening back, I suppose, to community. They don't have that community feel around, and all these clubs grew up around communities, and some of them have outgrown their communities from the point of view of, like, I suppose Man City is probably one of those in a very, very short space of time. Yes, they've got loyal fans, don't get me wrong, but their size of their structure and everything like that has outgrown their community, and now they've become a global entity. And Aston Villa will get there at some stage, but this is the beauty about having Villa Park where it is, and people bemoan it at times. Look, it's in an area that may not be, it might not be the most cosmopolitan area in the world. I fucking love it whenever I go over there, because that's what I go over there for. I go over there for that sense of community, that sense of something that's sprouted up out of nowhere under that gas lamp, and to me that's pretty cool. Will it always be there? I don't know. But when you mentioned about the pubs, some of these pubs that are around there, they pray for the Saturday, or they pray for the Sunday, because there ain't anyone in there from Monday to Friday, or maybe Monday to Thursday. So they're praying for those days. So yeah, good point in helping them out. Maybe try and share the love around. If you're not going to go into the lower grounds, or you can't go into the Holt anymore, maybe pick a pub. There's 10 pubs in the locality. That's half your home games. Maybe go to a new pub every home game, or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's it is nice, and what you said there is true, because you'll miss all those pubs if they start closing. You'll miss them.
Well, look, we saw the New Adventurers closed down, whatever,
yeah,
the years ago, and everybody was shocked because it was such a busy spot. But it's very hard for these pubs to survive when there's no games, and it's not even that. Like, I know they're getting extra games midweek now with the Europa Conference League, but it's not on the same scale as what they have at the weekend. So their weekends are suffering. So it's good to do them a turn. It's good to eat. So what? Go and try them all. And if you're going from Ireland, you've got three options there. You've got Shanahan's, you've got the Aston Inn, and if you want to go a bit upmarket, you've got the Aston Tavern to stay in. So you can go and drink in either of those three. You can stay there. Not obviously, if you're not from, you don't have to be from Ireland. You can be traveling from anywhere and stay there. But they're three good spots, run very well. And you don't have to be in town if you're coming over there.
Yeah. Big Villa fan, John. Good to see you watching the podcast. Says we need to support our pubs, and he's a man. If the pub went in the morning, he's a man who'd miss it anyway. That's for sure. That is.
Well, we all missed it 3 years ago when it went, didn't we? It was the one thing everybody spoke about was opening the pub. So, yeah. It's that's why. And in fairness, that's why everyone was upset that they've lost, the whole suite, and I totally get that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That same fella found a love for a can of Carlsberg as well during that period of time. So there was fear of his arse. There was absolute fear of him. Anyway, getting on to AZ Alkmaar.
We have to. I'm still buzzing after the weekend. I'm actually dreading tomorrow night, and I'm gonna have to face reality that we could lose a game.
Well, let's start with that, Paddy. Why are you dreading tomorrow night?
It's just the fear of the unknown. I think when we play a Premier League team, when we play even a championship team in any of the cups or whatever, we know what we're going to get. We know what we need to put out. You just don't know how organised or how up for a game. Like we saw how difficult it was to break down Mostar. And that's why I just want us to get through this group stage. I want us to play a strong team. I want us to go and beat this team well. I know that's not going to be the case, but if we put in a performance like we did at the weekend, I'd struggle to see most teams in Europe coping with us. That's how good we've been. So it's just a fear that this could all be taken away very quickly. And you know what? If it is, it is. As long as we're still riding on the crest of the wave of what we're doing in the Premier League, but it would be great to stay in this and give it a good rattle in the new year. With our injured players coming back with potentially new signings, whatever that may look like come the middle of January. So I am worried about tomorrow night. It's just a strange feeling in the pit of my stomach that, we've seen people being humbled there, and, they got to the semi-final of this competition last year, so they've history in it. And and look, if you're on your way there and you're listening to us, look after yourself too, because they're not the friendliest of bunches either. So I know we have a lot of friends and a lot of people that watch the podcast, and people like Max and Simon are making their way over there. So good luck to them all. I hope you all stay safe, but stay out of trouble. Don't invite it on yourself, and bring home the win, hopefully.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, you mentioned about the fear of the unknown. And Mostar, and you brought up Mostar as well as Zrinski, and I think that was definitely an unknown situation. And also, I think to a lesser degree, Legia Warsaw was a bit more unknown from the point of view that we went there to try and control the game, and we were down a goal early enough. And that threw the whole thing into disarray. Zrinski went and they went to play 10 men, 11 men behind the ball, and that was difficult to break down. And I think most teams, regardless of who you play in Europe, it becomes international football then, and we've seen big international teams struggle to beat other international teams because they put 11 men behind the ball, and that's no disrespect to Zrinski, because they played better than that. And I know I'm slightly, I'm not trying to be disingenuous, but I'm underselling Zrinski's performance there as well. I think with Alkmaar, they're a wholly known entity, because they're second in the Eredivisie. They got to the semi-final last season of this competition, and they've got probably one of the hottest hands up front in Pavlidis, that every single scouting department in Europe probably has been watching hours of tape on him already. So from that point of view, should I say, I feel it's not that I feel confident going into this game, but I feel confident that we're prepared going into this game. And we may lose this game. We may lose this game against a very, very good team, but I think it's going to be a ripper of a game. I really do. I think it's going to be a really good game. Like Pascal Jensen came out today and he said that Aston Villa are the masters of the counter attack. I don't know. I like that. That gave me hope. That gave me a lot of hope, considering we've been going out and trying to dominate teams in possession this year, and more often than not, it seems that we have won games where we've dominated the possession and got Pau Torres in the ball and got Douglas Luiz in the ball. So if he's expecting a counter-attack team, we can also do that too. But it just goes to show, once again, going back to what we spoke about at the start with Unai Emery, we've got diversification in our game plan as well. So for me, I think this is going to be a really, really good game, because they've got some really good players, but our players are better. And we, our players are better.
Yeah, but the point, like I keep going back to, is like, look, remember they've beaten Legia Warsaw there, who we struggled against, and we struggled against Mostar, and it was just, if they're set out right, it could be a case that they hit us on the counter. That's what I'm expecting tomorrow. I'm expecting them to be sitting deep and inviting us on and hitting us on the counter. That's obviously what their game plan will be, speaking now this far in advance. But a few people asking in the comments there, is a draw a decent enough result? Yeah, it probably is. Considering we've got to play Warsaw at home and then Mostar, you got to hope that we take 6 points from those, which would guarantee us qualification. Probably in second place if that's the case, but it gives us a decent opportunity. And Alkmaar have to play away in Warsaw in the last game of the league format as well. So it wouldn't be the end of the world. A draw wouldn't be the end of the world, but I'd love to see us go and win tomorrow. It just takes a lot of pressure off going into those last two games. If we can get ahead, then maybe even a draw in one of those games wouldn't be so bad. Just take the pressure off. We've Luton at the weekend, rather than going to rather than playing Warsaw and then having to play Arsenal and Man City in close proximity straight after. So there's a lot of things in play around those last couple of games. So get the points on the board, win this one, win the game against Warsaw, and then we can play virtually a reserve team in Mostar if that's the case.
Yeah, and that's what I want to see tomorrow. I want to see full strength team out tomorrow. I want to see minimal changes. I actually want to see three at the back. Actually, sorry, when I say full strength team, I clarify that. I think there will be changes, but I think we'll change tactics. I think we'll go with three at the back. I think marshalling Pavlidis is going to be important. Now, if memory strikes me right, I was doing a scouting series on Pavlidis at the turn of the year last year, and I think he had a ball of goal scored then as well, and he just went dry, all of a shot. I think it was either before Christmas or after Christmas. Can't remember when I did it, but it might have been for the January podcast, or it might have been for the podcast for the January transfer window or for the summer transfer window. Can't remember when I did it. But I remember going through his stuff and thinking goals have dried up for him for a period of time, but he's hit the ground running again. So I think maybe having a Diego Carlos in there to match him, or to maybe even shadow him, or maybe even stand on top of him for the whole game would be beneficial. Because when I had Michael on the podcast from Football Aranya, he said that their wingers are good, but they're not great. So getting him service is they still need to get him service. So he's not like, he's somebody that if you give him service, he will score. So if we can cut off that service and stand somebody on him, we should have some sort of an opportunity. Now, saying that as well, Pavlidis scored a hat-trick in his last game against Heerenveen. Like his goals are coming against like Heerenveen, Fortuna Sittard. I watched that game as well. Now, he did score against Ajax too, but this Ajax team is having some wobbler at the moment, and they've just sacked their manager. So it's going to be a big step up in class for AZ, I would hope, tomorrow. Their fans are going to be raucous, and Villa are going to need to go there with their head screwed on. But I think we'll see that three at the back formation. And in fact, I kind of hope we do see that three at the back formation, because it will allow us to interchange between that counter attack that we can do when we're out of possession, and also that game controlling aspect that Unai Emery has bought. If we are in a position to put our foot in the ball, and if Alkmaar do, show us maybe that too much respect in the first 10, 15 minutes. So I think the team will be pretty unchanged, I think, tomorrow, because we're getting to squeaky bum time in the Conference League. You win this one, it puts you in a huge position, massive position, coming back home for 2 of your last 3 games. So like you, I think it will be a strong team. I think it will be.
I think the Alkmaar team more or less picks itself. I was actually a bit disappointed because I went to Greece against Ireland a couple of weeks ago, and there was no sign of him. He didn't get in. And then I watched back Greece against Holland, and he didn't get in there either. He came on with 10 minutes to go, so I was looking to see him in the flesh and see what his movement is like and see what kind of tread he was. So I was disappointed not to see what he had to offer. But Alkmaar, they've only drawn 1 game this season in the league, in what's probably one of the most open Eredivisie of the recent times. Like Ajax are second bottom, crazy stuff. They beat Ajax 2 weeks ago. So it'll be it's going to be a slog. I agree with you about the 3 at the back. Pick him out, put Diego Carlos on him, or whoever they choose, Ezri Konsa or whoever it is. Give him a torrid time, wind him up. That would be how I would manage him tomorrow. And maybe it is a case of getting them on the counter attack with 3 at the back, and we can bomb on Luca Dean and bomb on Matty Cash and get some change out of them. Just want to mention 2 people that kind of, well, one didn't fly under the radar. I thought Leon Bailey was excellent at the weekend. This could be a match that would suit him to be unleashed in, I think. Just those step overs, them running at him, just as something different to what Zaniolo is offering. And Yuri Tielemans' ball at the weekend into it went largely unnoticed that he played that ball through the eye of the needle. John McGinn's ball to Ollie Watkins. The passes we're picking off, we've the ability to pick off a team like that at will if they just tune out for a second. So if we get really well organised and invite them onto us, we could possibly punish them on the counter attack, as their manager says. So it'll be interesting to see how we handle them from the start. I would imagine a slow, patient build up. Just sound them out for the first 10 minutes and then show them what we've got. I think that's how I see the game panning out. I'm not expecting lots of goals either. I'd be interested to see what the lineup is before I can make my decision on a timing. But again, I'm glad that this game's on at 5:45. It gives us time to get home tomorrow night, sleep in their own beds, and in for training on Friday morning for recovery and ready for the weekend. But all eyes on tomorrow night. Get the 3 points. Go strong. Thought it very interesting they rolled out Emi Martinez for the press conference. I don't think there's any way we're going to see Robin Olsen starting tomorrow. So I think that was assured when we saw him at the press conference.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know whether you spoke about it at the weekend, but there's an unusual question now to be asked about John Duran and what's going on. I don't think anybody has asked the question.
They did, yeah. Unai Emery basically just said nothing wrong. He was injured, and then they said, but what about... Okay. Can we fucking stop giving a shit about players deleting stuff off their Instagram? Can we please fucking stop it? It's 2023. Can we please stop it? They do it all the time. The people who run their Instagrams purge the living Jesus out of it. Can we please stop getting bent out of shape over it? Stuff will go on. Stuff will happen. Unai Emery said he was injured today.
He said he was injured.
He said, yeah, he was carrying a small knock. Said he was injured. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So
so like, either we're trusting Emery or we're not.
So did he say he was fit for tomorrow night?
He did. He's travelled.
Good.
Yeah. But
I've
this is my first time saying it. We gotta fucking stop giving a shit about Instagram when it comes to footballers. We really do. We
You have
really
to
do.
give a
Unless
shit,
he's
yeah?
there with a big man bag of cocaine in his hand or something, or he's got the severed head of one of his enemies or something like that, and he puts it up on Instagram. Yeah, we can worry about that. If he starts deleting stuff or taking Villa out of his bio, his social media team are doing a purge. That's all it is, usually. Now I don't have a social media team, but that's usually what it ends to be. Like Mings did it when he got injured. Shut down his social media as well. Like
That was for his mental health. Completely different. Your man only has a knock. We have to rely on social media to see what get an insight into the lives of the players. We used to know everything about them because they'd come into the pub after the match and have a pint with whoever was sitting there. These days are completely different. So that's the only opportunity we get to see what floats their boat and what kind of guys they are. So that's why there's an obsession with it. And I totally get that people see it's a really strange time to just take Aston Villa off everything and just. Anyway, he's a young kid. He's going to make mistakes as well. So I wouldn't worry about it too much.
Yeah, and like his social media, like I can guarantee you he's got a social media team because his Instagram or whatever, his social media profile in Colombia has probably gone through the bloody roof now that he's signed in the Premier League. And he's
I assure you he doesn't have a social media team, because if he does, they should be sacked, because the man spent the whole of pre-season on his live looking into a camera doing absolutely nothing. So he doesn't have a social media team.
That's probably why he has one now. That's why it's happened now.
Hopefully that's the case. Hopefully that's the case, and hopefully there's nothing more to look into it. But I was getting pings on my phone. I don't know how to turn that off, but it keeps coming up going, John Duran has gone live, and I'm like, again? He went live 20 minutes ago and did nothing, and he didn't. And look, we'll see what happens tomorrow. The reason I brought him up was, if we go ahead, I want to see him out there. I want to see Ollie Watkins taken off. He's vital to us now. So we need to go 2-0 up, take Ollie Watkins off, take the players off that need the rests, that's why we've got big squads now. That's why we can make 5 subs. We got to play with the big boys and rotate when we have to, but rotate when the job is done, not at the start. That's what I want to see tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we will. I think we will go full strength tomorrow as well, for sure. In case anybody was wondering why I was feverishly clicking there while Paddy was talking, I wasn't being ignorant and not listening to him. Paddy just reminded me that the game is on 5:45, and I was like, I was autopilot yesterday. So first of all, this game has a big black spot in my mental cranium at the moment. First of all, I did a full podcast with Michael on his podcast on Football Aranya, and then at the very end he goes, would you take a draw? And I goes, no, I take a draw if we were playing them away, but since we're playing them in Villa Park, I definitely think we have to win. And on the podcast he goes, we are playing them away. And I was like, are we? Jesus. And then at the end he goes, I'll edit that out. He goes, not at all, no, you got to own your mistakes. When you make stupid mistakes like that, you got to own them. So leave it in. I'd be offended if you take it out. So between that and the time, I am completely discombobulated with this game at all. I cannot figure out whether we're home or away, what time it's on. So I was feverishly changing the timings on my streaming schedule here as you were talking. But that's even better, because as I was doing it today, I was kind of going, oh no, I hate, like the Thursday night games fall right in the middle of bedtime, putting the kids to bed, and I'm like, oh, that's a conversation that needs to be had with she who is to be obeyed about this one. But no, that won't be the case, because it'll be 4:30 that we'll be streaming, doing our team sheet tantrum tomorrow, which is fantastic. It's brilliant. Gives us loads of time.
Means I have to start work earlier.
Means you have to start work earlier, as well. Yeah. I'm off. I'm free as a bird for the next 3.5 weeks, so I don't got to worry about anything like that for the next 3.5 weeks. So it's absolutely fantastic. You said that I'm not even going to ask you for your prediction, Paddy, and I'm not going to give one either, because as I say, we've seen some curveballs thrown in the team sheets for the European game, and while I think tomorrow is going to be a small bit more stable from a team point of view, I'm not ruling out Callum Chambers playing right wing back either at the same time. So it's we'll wait for that tomorrow. But one or two little pieces on Alkmaar just before we finish. Some really good players that they have as well. the focus will be on Pavlidis. All the build-up talk will be about Pavlidis as well. But when you look back through their teams, Sven Meinens as well is somebody who deserves an eye because he's a really interesting profile of a player. He started off as he's 6'3", started off as one of these tall, like, I know Dutch people are tall anyway, but started off as one of these tall wingers, then progressed into a 10, has gone back into the 8 position and looks to be more and more like as if he's retreating back into the 6. And for me, that's a really cool kind of transition at the age of 23 to go back that way while playing professional football at such a young age. And the reason I say about that is there's obviously a reason he's good with his feet and he's good and he's intelligent to be able to play as a winger and as a 10. But the more he comes back the field, I think he's going to, he might be one of these late bloomers for the Dutch international team, I think, based on his physical makeup and the fact that he's obviously got some football IQ to be able to play as a winger, and now that he's moving back the field. So somebody to look at there. Their right back, Sugawara, I bloody love him. I think he's brilliant. I think he's really, really good. And I actually did a scouting series. The eagle-eyed of you will remember I did a scouting series on him as one of the right backs Villa should look at signing. Very attacking. Don't get me wrong, very attacking right back, and he will leave space in behind, comes up and scores goals. But I think he's a really good player, really, really good player, and somebody to look at as well. And their left back as well is very good. He's a very decent player. They also have a smattering of people who know the Premier League very, very well. Bruno Martins Indy is in there. Yardi Classic is in there. Matt Ryan in goals. Yeah. So, and obviously Sam Vesterveld then will be on the bench as their sub goalkeeper. Son of Sander Vesterveld, for any of you who remember Liverpool of the early noughties, and also a striker that they will have there, striker/winger Ruben van Bommel is in there as well. So there's a couple of famous surnames in the AZ team there too. But yeah, it's they have a lot of talent in there in that team, and they're well put together, and their manager is really good as well. He was linked with Rangers, which I thought was like, I thought they were overshooting their mark by going for somebody like him, because I think that he will progress, and he just seems like a manager that's going to go upper echelons and maybe the Bundesliga or somewhere like that, or maybe into English football. I know there's a couple of English teams who were linked to him in the past as well. But a good manager, and that's why I just think tomorrow is primed to be an absolute ripper of a game, and I think it's going to be really, really good. And I very much think that we have all the necessary ingredients to come out the right side. I think for sure.
Yeah, just keep cool heads and warm hearts, and treat them with respect. That's what we need to do. We need to just put out the decent team, keep our heads in what's going to be a raucous atmosphere, and hopefully we can get the 3 points, and that's the ultimate thing we can do now. No matter how we get it, if it's 1-0 and they hit someone's backside in the 90th minute, or a John McGinn header in the 94th minute, it happened the last day. So let's see what happened.
Yeah. Just a couple of comments there before we go. John Steele says the best news about the lower grounds is that Paddy wasn't drinking Bud. I think everybody is delighted that Bud isn't.
Paddy doesn't drink Bud anymore.
Paddy doesn't. Yeah, Neil certainly will never be drinking Bud. If I am drinking Bud, then it's an imposter. That's how you know that I've been cloned, or
it's the only thing available.
I think I might drink my Waddy instead. And also Matt Hanlon, sorry, I forgot to come to you at the very, very start. Points for podcasters as well. Really appreciate that, and thank you so much for that, Matt. And lastly, Maggie Johnson, a really interesting comment that you popped up here. Your son lives in Alaska via Birmingham and Tralee. So, like, when people talk about going to see the world, you could probably, like, they're three pretty barren spots. I'm joking. But he says that there's a few Alaska Villa fans. Every time I hear Alaska, I was like, immediately now, Maggie, I think that your son's a gold miner. Immediately, I think he's mining gold out in Alaska. Because
did he learn that? Did he learn that in Tralee?
Yeah. That's what the Discovery Channel has done to me. Made me think that everybody in Alaska just mines gold. But yeah, the couple of Villa fans out there, that's great, because we're fucking massive. That's why we're massive. Okay, Aurelio, we might do a podcast on people's embarrassing confessions, but Aurelio says the Bud made him pee in the wardrobe, and any man who says they haven't had a situation like that in their lives is telling you lies.
It's never made me do that, thankfully. And before people start dropping off, we might have a little bit of news about something that's coming down the line, Neil, do we? Just a small bit of a teaser, maybe.
Well, yeah, because look, nothing is 100% certain yet. But I mentioned before the West Ham game that we had gotten out of the blue. Somebody got in contact with us on the back of our live podcast and essentially asked us any interest in doing it all over again. To which we said, yeah.
In a different country.
In a different country is right. Yeah, in a different country. A country a lot closer to people from Birmingham. So it's Wales, everybody. We're going to be doing it. No, but yeah. So look, nothing finalized yet. But as I say, there's very much more musings for 2024, which would be absolutely fantastic to get over and to do it again. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for stuff on that, and fingers crossed we can get it over the line. Because the first one was mighty crack altogether. And so yeah, so it'd be great to get a second one out of it too. Just said we'd bring that to you there. Keep you all informed about what that was about on Saturday when I mentioned it. So I think that's going to do it, Paddy.
I missed that one, did I?
Yeah, you missed that one. You were on your way to the ground at that stage. But yeah, I think that's going to do it, everybody. 10:15 on a school night. So we're going to let everybody go. Earlier start tomorrow, as we say, 4:30 tomorrow for the team sheet tantrum. And we will be back on the final whistle for a final whistle pod. And then we'll be back again on Friday. Probably, if our significant others allow us to do a Luton preview. If not, we'll
be back Friday.
Paddy won't be back Friday, so I'll probably pop on and do something. Oh, there was somebody wanted to chat to me about Luton, actually. Maybe so we might have a special guest again. But we'll
might get a substitute in. I'm going to see the Mighty Reds in their last home game of the season, so I won't be around on Friday.
Oh, sorry. I was there going last home Munster. We're going to see Shelburne. Genuinely, I was struggling as to it's Shelburne. You're going to see. It's Shelburne. You're going to see.
Shelburne.
Cool. Yeah. So we'll do something on that. And actually, Paddy, while we're doing our production meeting live here, I might be out for Sunday. Team sheet tantrum, and maybe the post-match podcast. We'll see. I've got a little lady in my life is turning 2 years of age, so I may not be able to attend the team sheet tantrum or the live podcast afterwards. I'll have to get her permission, which is very difficult to get.
Well, we'll keep the ball rolling with the team sheet tantrum, but we can push out the live podcast because or the aftermatch because we've a bank holiday weekend, so I don't need to go anywhere on Monday. So plenty of time for you, Neil, on Monday. So
grand job.
We'll we might find a sub to come in and take your place for the team sheet tantrum, but that'll be good.
Exactly. And now that we've been very transparent in our production meetings here as well, I think it's time for everybody to go to bed. Listen, thanks so much everybody for watching and listening. Like the podcast, share it wide and vast everywhere. Anybody wants to know about it. If anybody who wants to know about it, just tell them about it and tell them subscribe, because we'd love to have all the crack with people. And I hope you all enjoyed it tonight. So
big shout out to Brendan Townsend, who I met over there at the weekend, and I drew a complete blank. His face was fine. Do you think I could get his name? No. So apologies, Brendan. Probably all the Amstel that I
yeah, we blame it on the Amstel. Yeah, anyway. Exactly. We blame it on the Amstel. Well, good to see that Brendan was over there, because Brendan is a good follower and a good watcher of the podcast, as well as are all of you guys who've stuck with us throughout the last 2.5 years. And I suppose before I go as well, just want to say that we are part of the Sports Social Podcast Network. You barely even know it at times, because I keep on forgetting to say it for the last 2 years. But they're a great bunch of guys, and recently I just wanted to thank them for the support and the help they've given us, because we kind of didn't know what we're doing with regards to this as well. So if anyone from Sports Social Podcast Network is listening to this, thanks a million for all your help. It's been great crack. Anyway, see you all tomorrow for the team sheet tantrum. Stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.